Tommy steered his small car into the belly of the automated wash, the metal structure looming over him like a mechanical beast. His eyes darted left and right, scanning every shadow for that meddling mouse, Jerry. The brushes began to spin with a slow, rhythmic hum that vibrated through the steering wheel. Suddenly, Jerry's head popped up from the control booth like a jack-in-the-box. A wicked grin spread across the mouse's face as his tiny hand hovered over a lever labeled Max. Before Tommy could even think about shifting into reverse, the conveyor belt lurched forward, snatching his tires in a firm, metallic grip. He was trapped, and Jerry was just getting started. Jerry yanked the lever all the way to the bottom. The world outside the windshield exploded into a blur of blue and green as the brushes accelerated into a violent frenzy. The car rocked, whipping Tommy around inside the cabin until his head spun like a top. Dizzied and desperate, Tommy leaped out of the driver's seat, stumbling blindly onto the slick, wet floor of the tunnel. He tried to sprint toward the distant light of the exit, but the soap dispenser above him erupted with a roar. A mountain of thick white foam cascaded down, burying the cat completely. For a moment, there was only silence and bubbles. Then, a white mound moved. Tommy emerged, looking less like a cat and more like a walking cloud, covered head to toe in heavy suds. Tommy stood frozen, his fur hidden beneath layers of soap. The disguise was so perfect that two passing birds fluttered down and landed right on his head, chirping contentedly, as if they had found a new garden statue. Tommy fumed silently, his tail twitching beneath the foam. He couldn't take it anymore. With a sudden burst of energy, he swatted the air, sending the terrified birds scattering into the rafters. But his victory was short-lived. As he struggled to regain his balance on the soapy floor, a shadow fell over him. The industrial wax machine was descending from the ceiling, its mechanical arms twitching with electric anticipation. There was nowhere left for the cat to run. The wax machine descended with a mechanical whine. Frantic arms tipped with soft pads began to buff Tommy with terrifying speed. He was pushed, pulled, and polished until every inch of his fur gleamed like a freshly minted coin. When the machine finally retracted, Tommy stood in the center of the aisle, glowing with a mirror-like sheen. Jerry rounded the corner, clutching his sides and pointing at the radiant cat, his silent laughter echoing off the tile walls. Suddenly, a crow dove from the sky, its eyes locked onto Tommy's shiny nose. Thinking it was a discarded silver button, the bird pecked sharply at his face. That was the final straw. Enraged and gleaming, Tommy lunged at Jerry. The chase was on, leading them straight into the final rinse chamber. A massive blast of high-pressure water struck them both simultaneously, launching them like furry projectiles out the other end of the wash and into the bright daylight. The two of them skidded across the hot asphalt, finally coming to a stop in a tangled, wet heap. Tommy sat up slowly, but something was wrong. As the air hit his damp fur, it began to puff out, expanding further and further until he was a perfect, round ball of fluff. He looked exactly like a plush bath toy. Jerry rolled on the ground, tears of laughter streaming down his face as he pointed at the spherical cat. Tommy slumped his shoulders, letting out a long, defeated sigh that caused his fluffy exterior to ripple. Jerry wiped his eyes and managed to catch his breath.